Hey everybody, I'm going to make a granny square jacket and I invite you along to come with my journey on how it's done. But knowing myself in that I get hot, I wanted to change the yarn to 100% cotton using Lily Sugar and Cream by yarnspirations.com. So I wanted 8 colors so that I ended up with a multiple of granny squares that made sense. So we have this. You don't need to do half squares, partial squares. It's all 100% granny squares in order to make this jacket. At the center has a twist to it. So if you look really carefully right here, that's what that looks like if it's turned like this. And what I did after I got that done, I slightly did a twist to it so that it looks like this in the center instead of like this. So it's just a matter of keeping to the 6-inch size that we particularly need. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you the information to be able to do this one. This is a traditional granny. So what I wanted to do is control my colors so that all my 54 squares are all a completely different configuration. So no matter which one we're working with, you can see it's going to look like this. So my color strategy is that because I used 8 colors and there's only 5 rounds, some of the squares are missing certain colors. So the green here is not in this one here, but it is over here. Red is in this one and this one at this particular section, but it's not in this one. And you'll see that information. So this darker blue is here and here, but it's not here. So by having 8 colors like this, you really can make all 54 squares a unique color. So that was my strategy. Let's begin with a 5mm size H crochet hook in the first color you want to play with. So you need 5 colors if you're going to do it the way that I'm about to show you. So let's begin. You don't have to waste a lot of yarn right at the beginning of the project, but I need you to create a slip knot to start. Insert your hook in, and I need you to chain a total of 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Insert the hook into the beginning chain and yarn over. Just wrap the yarn and pull through, and this is the center ring of your granny square. So when you do round number 1, you're going to wrap this yarn around so it gets stuck underneath, so you don't have to worry about sewing that in later. In round number 1, we are going to chain a total of 2. This is my own improvisation so that the first stitch looks tighter than typical granny squares. So you're just going to open this up so that you have the center point. So you're going to put 2 more double crochet into the center ring. I always find when you start a granny square and there's a chain 3, it looks always sloppy. So by changing it to 2, it's better for my purposes. So when you turn the corner, you're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then the center again. So this is just wrapping around the outside so it gets stuck underneath, and 3 more double crochet. So if you don't wrap that around to be part of it, you're going to have to sew that in later. And how many will you do? Okay, you'll chain 3 to turn, then 3 more double crochet in. I'd recommend you weave in your ends at the end, or at the end of each of the rounds. I did all of my squares and then I wove in the ends, which took me approximately about 5 hours to do by the time I did 54 squares, and I did have help. So chain 3 to turn, and you're going to do your last one. Okay, and so the 3 double crochet in. This is your last side. And if you've been dragging that straggler, just toss it to the back out of the way and chain 3. And slip stitch it to the first one, chain 2 of the grouping of 3. So it's right here. So this is the top of one, top of the next one. This is the top of the chain 2, and slip stitch in. And what I'm going to do is that I am going to just create a little bit of a longer strand so I can use a tapestry needle later. Cut that. But before you continue on, you're going to yarn over, pull it through that loop to lock it. And in the next chain, okay, right here, you're going to go from front to back, pull that yarn through. And in the next chain, from back to front, pull through. So this yarn stays on the back side of the project and it's hidden within the corner itself. If you did go over top of the straggler, now's the time to turn it over, and you can snip that right down. That should never fall out. So unless you did what I did, you be good. It won't never fall out. So we're gonna move on to round number 2 next with the new color. So I just create a little bit of a longer tail so that I can have something to sew it with later. And you're going to create a slip knot for your hook. And how we're doing this is standing double crochet. I always find when you chain 3, you see how it doesn't look the same? This is chain 2. I want to do a standing double crochet instead. So all of my 54 squares were standing double crochet. So that means you really cannot tell the way that it looks in the very beginning versus the others. So you pinch, wrap the hook, and when you go in, you want to go up over top of that straggler as well. Okay, going in, pull through 2 and 2. And you're going to pull that a little bit tighter, but it's not until you get the tapestry needle on there that you're going to be able to secure that fully. So continue the next 2 stitches right up over top of that strand as well. So into the same space. And this will be 3 double crochet into that beginning space. You're going to let that straggler fall out to the back, and then you're going to chain 1 and then go into your next corner. So the corners on this one here will be 3 double crochet to start. So we have 1, 2, and 3. And chain 3 will turn the corner. Coming into your corner here. Okay, you're going to go and put 3 more double crochet in. Okay, now you got to jump to your next corner, so chain 1 before you do it, and then come into your next corner of 3 double crochet. Okay, chain 3 will turn the corner, and 3 more double crochet into that same one. Okay, chain 1 to jump to your next corner. So when you go into your next corner, I want you to trap that other one that you woven in, so it's underneath and coming towards this side. So you're going right up over top of it and put your 3 double crochet in. That helps to secure it. Okay, chain 3 to turn, and 3 more double crochet into the same corner. Chain 1 to jump, and you're going to come and finish the first corner that you started with. So it'll be 3 double crochet. So we have 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and to join it to the beginning, standing double crochet, you're going to chain 3 first and go right to the top of the first one. So you see the top of the first one here, second, this is the one right here. Go through, and then weave it back through that corner. So cut it long enough so you can get a tapestry needle into it. Pull it through the loop. Take the next back one from front to back. Take that strand, pull it forward, and take the next one that from back to front, back, and then it's on the back side, like so. And now you're ready for round number 3. So round number 3 is where we're going to create the twist. So this looks like traditional granny, but what we want to do is make the center look like this. And we're going to change the corners from being here to being in the middle instead. So how we do this is that we're going to create a slip knot onto your hook, and you were going to come to the middle chain space on any one of the sides. And when you attach, you're going to do a standing double crochet. So just get ready, pinch, yarn over and into that space. Make sure it goes right up over top of the starting strand as well. So pull through 2 and 2. And then you can pull that a little tighter. So you're going to put 2 more double crochet into that same spot. And then you can toss that to the back, get it out of the way, and you'll weave that in later. To move on, we're going to hit our next corner, but before we do it, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet into this corner instead. Then chain 1, and we're going to come to the next chain 1 space that's in between the 2 corners from the row below, and you're going to start with 3 double crochet into the middle space. So we have 1, 2, and 3. Chain 3 to turn the corner, and 3 more double crochet into that same space. Okay, now we have to get to our next corner, but we have to chain 1 before we do it. So chain 1 to jump, and then in the next corner, single crochet. Chain 1 to jump, and then you come into the next middle space here and do another new corner. So 3 double crochet, chain 3 to turn, and 3 double crochet. Chain 1 to jump, come to your next corner that is right here, single crochet in it, chain 1 to jump, and then put another corner into the next chain 1 space that's between the 2 corners below. So 3 double crochet to start, chain 3 to turn, and 3 double crochet in. And what we've just done now is we've eliminated where the corners were last time, and it now has a middle twist. So chain 1 to jump, you're going to go into your middle, your corner here, single crochet in, chain 1, and you're going to finish the very first corner that you started with. So there's going to be 3 double crochet in there first. So we have 1, 2, and 3. And then chain 3 will then finish that corner. So 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch to the top of the standing double crochet. Again, like before, just trim your yarn long enough that you can get it through a tapestry needle. Pulling it through. Go to your next chain from front to back, pull through, and next chain from back to front, pull through. And so last time our corners were here, and because of the twists, it's now here. And we're moving on to round number 4 next. So I'm creating a slip knot, and I start in any corner that is not a starting corner from the last one. And so it prevents all one side of a granny square from looking like where you can see all the slip stitches and everything on the one side of the square. It jumps around, so it's not as obvious. So coming in, and we're going to do a standing double crochet into a corner. And then this row, it's only 1 more double crochet in. So this row only has 2 double crochets into the corner. We're then going to put a double crochet in each one of the stitches across. And if there's a chain 1 space, which is coming up next right here, go right into your space. This is a single crochet below, you go right into that same stitch, and then the next one is a space. So just remember in the middle of each side that there's a space to do the single crochet and the double crochet, or the next space on the other side. So you're just going to double crochet yourself in every stitch and space to the next corner. The next corner, see where this yarn is coming out here, make sure it's over here, and when you go over, you have a nice clean section. So it's going to be 2 double crochet in, chain 3, and 2 double crochet. Okay, so then every side is the same. So we're going to start with our first stitches. So double crochet in each stitch and space. You'd be surprised on how fast these squares go. So using the spaces and every stitch, you're just going to do that all the way around. So please do this, and your corners are 2 double crochet, chain 3, 2 double crochet, and I'll be right back. So I'm coming up all the way around. My color choices that I did today are just completely random. There's no rhyme or reason. And then in the corner to finish off, there's 2 double crochet first, chain 3 to turn. So 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch to the top of the first standing double crochet. So you're going to trim that yarn. Yarn over, pull through to lock it. The next chain, front to back. Next chain, back to front. Okay, and we got one more round to do, and that will complete then the square. Let's do our last round, and you're going to choose a different side than where you started. So just a nice fresh side, again, to prevent the slip stitching from always appearing on the same diagonal. So you're going to start off with the standing double crochet. Pull that a little bit tighter, and then another double crochet in. So the corners are slightly different on this one. So you're going to toss that to the back, and then you were going to double crochet in each of the stitches all the way across to the next corner. So this is a cross between a traditional granny square to a granny square with a twist to a solid granny square, all in one square. So when I push this into my jacket, all of the squares are different colors, which are intentional for me so that it's a coat that is actually truly random. Once you get to the next corner, you're going to place in 2 double crochet, and you're only going to chain 2 this time to make the corner a little tighter. So 1, 2, and 2 more double crochet into the corner. And then start down another fresh side. So 1 double crochet in each double crochet all the way. Okay, and I'll see you at the end of the round. So once you get to your final corner, you're going to chain 2 and slip stitch it to the top of the first standing double crochet. So what I like to do here is that I create an extra long tail so that I can use this to sew to another square at the end. Okay, so it's the only one I'm going to make really truly long. If you decide to attach it to other squares in a different way, I would still do this, because then if you change your mind, you will have that option later. So again, next square from front to back, and next chain, and next one is here. So what we want to do is we want to go through the square, and we want to weave in all the ends. See how it's kind of loose there? That's because the ends are not woven in. So we want to go through, turn it to the back side, and start weaving in the ends. I will demonstrate on how that's done, and then you can do all of your squares the same way. So your middle one has already been cut out because you did that when you started, hopefully. And then the rest of them are all kind of hanging out. So you want to get a tapestry needle in position to be able to do this. So what you want to do is, this is the back of it because all the strands are hanging out, and this is the good side. You never want the needle to come to the good side of the work. So when you drag it through, you're going to drag it down through, and in this case, go right to the center. So straight on through and pull. And when you pull the first time, don't pull it to the point where it changes the shape. Just taut, as they would say. And then you're going to go through a slightly different path, going back up. So this needle never goes and is visible on the front of the work. And then through again. You're better to go and split plies up than you are to go between the strands. So keep that in mind. So if things pop out on you, go between the strands because it's so much harder to fall out. and then you can safely trim that down. So all you need to do is that you just need to go through your squares, or all of them. So in this case, this is okay. That's the standing, okay? And if you do want to pull it out and make it differently, you can. We just kind of covered over top just to get it out of the way. But if you want to get rid of that line completely, you can do so. I didn't on my sample. Coming through, and again, staying to the back of the project, you're just going to weave it through and only stay within that color. But the first pull is always the one that's going to make the most difference. And you're going to go back and forth a total of 3 times. Now, I have no adversity to weaving in ends because it's the end of the project. So the hard work has already been done, and the weaving does take a bit of time to go back and forth, but then you end up with a great granny square in the end once you have everything woven in. We're going to go back to the pattern now and talk further on the next steps. So for my particular sample that I'm doing for my size, it's extra large to 3 extra large. And so this is the configuration of what I need to do. So what I'm going to do is lay this out on a table and actually get the configuration. So see, this square here is the same one as here. So half of it is sewn here, the other half is sewn the other side to give it the illusion of the sleeves that you'll have. Okay, so this particular side and this side will come together to create the round circle for where your hands will pop out of. So this is the back shoulder line, just like you see. And so what we want to do is lay this out. And so I'm going to go to a larger table, match the configuration, and then we're going to go from there. Main surface, we have all of the different squares that are done. I actually have 54 here for my size. So now is the time to change the way that it looks. So all I'm going to do here is when I go to layout, I'm just going to pick random of what's in my pile to be able to start. And if I don't like anything at any point, I can just switch things out that I want to do. I kept the longer tail so that I can use that for sewing if I want to, but all I want to do is take this sheet and make it match to the table here, and I'll be right back. So what we have now is the larger size. So this is the same. So this is what we have. And so you'll see that the angle of the dotted line is here. So instead of folding the square in half like this, you're folding it in half like that. And that is underneath to make the sleeve a little bit shorter. So again, I'm lacking table size. So I have everything laid out. So I'm gonna look at it. If I'm happy with it, yes or no, it could be completely random. So when you're attaching something like this, is that you're gonna put it in half, and this will attach to here, and then on the other side, once you fold it, the other side will attach here, and then this will attach to the tops here to make the sleeve come down. And it's actually really quite simple when you think about it. So here we are back on the table, and I want to show you 2 ways to attach it. You can either do a whip stitch, or you can do as a slip stitch assembly, which is a lot faster. So with it laid out, I always be very strategic. So just don't randomly hit this thing, and you can either go in a vertical way. So you're just going to attach all the way going vertical, and you'll do all your verticals, and then you'll come back and you'll do all your horizontals at the same time. So whatever you need to do makes it work. Now I had you keep your strands longer because what you can do is that when you go to sew things together, you always want your strands to be at least one color or the other. So I never want to use white, or I never want to use something that is going to really outstand when you're going to sew together. So what I needed to do is that if I am attaching this to here, I can use green to attach because it's going to get buried in with the attachment here, but it's also, when I turn the corner, I can also use the green to attach here. So I never want to use a color like white, especially with the sewing. Or I could have used the blue to attach, coming on up and using the blue to attach. As long as the color strand is either one side of the square or the other, it will work. And if you have the same color squares on the outside, it doesn't really matter either. You still use the same color. So you want to be very strategic. So I never want to take this green and then go across something like this because there's no green to hide that stitch work in. And let me show you how to do the invisible join. To do an invisible join, you are going to use one of the colors that you're using. So be careful on where these things are. So let me just come on out a little bit. And so you don't necessarily want this color to be here, because then you're going to waste the opportunity, because you can't use this blue to come up over to the square. So you want to be really positioning this in a way that it makes sense for when you're attaching things together. So this blue here, if I use it, I can go here and here and it will be completely hidden. So we're going to take that long strand that you used at the very end and you're going to put it through a tapestry needle. And we do not want to go through one whole stitch. We only want to use the back loops only. So starting right in the corner, there's going to be 2 chains, and you're going to go into the first chain here. There's the second coming straight to the back, and you want to grab the first empty chain that is over here on the back loop only. Okay, so you're only getting the back loops and you're going straight across. So then you're going to come back now, and you're going to come to your first double crochet on this side, the back loop only, and then grab the next double crochet on this side. It's the same stitch count across, so you should never go wrong. And you go straight across and you pull. And when you pull, it will pull everything. So it's, you see how the blue, even though it's attached to the green, gets lost? That's what you're looking for. So again, the back loop of the next stitch that's available, back loop of the next, and pull. And every now and then, just kind of pinch it and give it a good pull, and it pulls the attachings together. Some people, like Karen, when they go to sew stuff like this, they don't pay attention to these colors, and then they have a color that doesn't make sense, because you can slightly see this color if you use a different color of yarn. So this is a great way to hide in those stitch ends. Okay. Okay, and so you're just going to follow it across. So when you get to your corner, because this is blue, I'm going to want to turn and go down to attach, because this is still blue, and I'll have to finish my blue here in order to go on. So if I was attaching to another square right here, I could still keep that blue going around and attaching it like so. And you can see that the join is pretty much invisible when you're using this concept. I'm going to be showing you the slip stitch join next. So the next type of join is the slip stitch join. And when I slip stitch, I like to go like this. So I could have done that as well. So I know that this is the bottom of my sweater. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go up and start at the bottom of my sweater, go right up over top to the other side using this concept. Create a long loop, and I want to increase my hook size, 1 hook size. So we've been using a 5mm size H. I want to go to a 5.5mm size I. I want to go into the first chain. So there's obviously 2 chains. So I'm going to go to the first chain that is closest to this side. And I want to come to the first chain on the other side here. And I'm going to take this and just create a loop. Do not create a slip stitch, and just pull through. So your hands are going to act like a sewing machine. So let this straggler loose end just go underneath the project. Don't interfere with it. So now I want to come into the top of the first double crochet that is here, the back loop only. And then I want to go down through the back loop only of the next one. So see the strand? I want to keep it on the back of the project. So make sure the hook is over top of that strand. And all you're just going to do is wrap that and pull through. The first couple of these will be loose. And when you come back to the top, you want to make sure that the consistent distance looks the same. The first one will always be loose because there's no slip stitch. And when you go to fasten this together with your tapestry needle, you're going to make it the proper size. So go into the back loop of the next one. Always go in the same order. Keep this to the back of the project. Go in the back loop of this one. Yarn over and pull through all of them. This is a slip stitch join. And because this slip stitch is actually really ornamental, you can use a different color like I am to do the attaching, just like you see. Okay, and because you're using the back loops, it sinks down in between the squares. This is a very tight join as well. So what I can do is go all the way through and do these, just like you see. So I am going to attach my sweater in this way because it's tighter and I like the look of it. And when I get to the end of these two squares, I just carry on and I continue to go up and just completely jump over. So I will do the chain one space here on the first one, and then when I jump over, I'm going to do the chain one space that is closest to this side here to bring it together in order to have a nice tight join like so. And then the black here is just resting in between the spaces, just like you see. So this is called a slip stitch join. If you need a different tutorial available, you can always find that here on the channel. And so you're thinking, well, you know, you can probably sew it together faster. If you want to, go ahead. You have to figure out what is going to work for you. But once you get in the swing of this, you're going to notice is that it will come together pretty easily. So once you do all your verticals, then in that direction, you're going to come back and do all of the horizontals. And the key thing for you is to look consistent when you're doing that. And this is how you would attach it. And I'll be back in a few moments. So my jacket's now been put together as far as the layout being flat. And now we have to fold this in a way that it's wearable. So what we have on the outsides are the sleeves. And these ones here, right here, has to be folded in a diagonal and then attached to the other side. And then the same one with this one right here. Okay, as per the picture. And so the arms are going to come out through here. This is the back and the neck right there, and that's a kitty cat. So we're gonna fold that next. So I've now folded it. So this is the outside, so I'll be in the inside of this thing, and the sleeve. So what I need to do now is run a connections point. So we wanna leave the outside open here for my arms to go through, and then we're going to start going in here. So these right here get folded in so that it makes it compact a little bit, and then we're just going to continue along like that. So we're going to come all the way down to the side and then do the same with the other side next. So just continue to do that and I'll be right back. So I'm just starting this, my hand's going to come out here, and so this one here gets folded in half like so. So when I follow it around, I am going to be coming across here. This side goes to here, that side goes to here, and then continuing along on the sleeve. So now that everything is assembled, it still looks pretty pedestrian. So what I need to do now is to work on the bottom edge only. So from one side through the back to the other side here, we're gonna go back and forth with just single crochet rows for 6 rows altogether. So make sure you turn it to the right side of the project. So when you turn it to the right side and I'm crocheting the way that I am, I'm going to start, just turn here. So I'll start here and go back and forth 6 times. So whatever color you want to use, I am going to just start off with the black because I've been using the slip stitch joining so that I have a black consistency, and then I'm probably going to change the color to something else. So now that my bottom is done, I did 1 row of black and then 5 rows of this aqua. So now what we need to do is we need to fill in the space in the center, and what we're going to do is to do basically going around and back and then back over. So we want to start on the right side, so we're going to start here right on the edge and work our way up, a single crochet all the way around. When you get to the bend of the material over here, just don't add any extra stitches, just keep on going, and that will round off your corner and then coming on back down. So turn the corner and come back down. So then the next row is going to be half double crochet, and then the third row in all remaining rows until it's approximately 6 inches distance is that you were going to do a horizontal loop. It's a half double crochet on the horizontal loop. If you see the video description, I'll put a link there on how that stitch is done. It's actually really quite easy, and then it provides the texture, but it's just a matter of getting this first row done. And I certainly have a lot of ends to weave in, and that's just the way it's going to go. So I will see you back here in a few moments.